So when I was a Jehovah's Witness in the 70s, 80s, 90s, nobody knew who the men on the governing body were. I couldn't name any of them. Their names didn't appear on the bylines of any articles or on any of the literature. And it was easy in those days to create some mystique around the governing body. I always imagined that the men on the governing body were these very spiritual men who had a deep, deep knowledge of the scriptures, that they spent their lives, contemplating, what God's purposes were, what the scriptures said. And it was easy to see them as something a little more than men. And when I left, I began to realize from years of living as a Jehovah's Witness that this information that I was getting was coming from just men. I began to realize that no, there's nothing special about the men on the governing body. They're just men. And I'm not going to let men whose names I don't even know tell me how to live my life. And it was years after I left the organization that all of a sudden the men on the governing body thought that they should start making themselves into personalities, that they should get themselves out there. Then they created JW Broadcasting. And now everyone could see who they were. They were on the internet giving these speeches, and people could see, finally, that they're just men, and that they're not even very impressive men at that. And when I, for the very first time, saw men like Anthony Morris and Stephen Lett on the internet, not only did it confirm my suspicion that they were just men, but they were really clowns. I think the biggest mistake the men on the governing body ever made was making themselves known to the world, was creating JW Broadcasting and putting themselves out there to the public and say, here we are, we're the governing body. And now the whole world can see them for what they really are. They really shot themselves in the foot. They should have stayed anonymous. They should have stayed in the back rooms of the headquarters and let people think that they were these great, wonderful, spiritual, deeply intelligent men. Because boy, did they ruin that illusion when they got on camera.